Why would God create man imperfectly and then have to send Jesus to suffer and die for man's imperfection? That's a good question. One of the problems with that question is you need to realize that when God originally created human beings, they were perfect. As a matter of fact, everything was perfect. When you read through the creation account in Genesis, God ends it by saying, "And everything was very good." When you read the creation account in Genesis, you'll notice that imperfection arrived as a result of sin. So the question, why would God create man imperfectly, at itself is not quite accurate. Sometimes people wonder, well, if God did create man perfect, didn't he know that man then would go on and sin, and then he would have to send Jesus? The answer is yes, God knew that too. So you may ask, well, why? Why was I created imperfectly, or why do I sin? It's not my fault. It's kind of that nature that I inherited from Adam and Eve. You know, if Adam and Eve hadn't sinned and produced original sin, you would have also, and I would have also. Saying that actual sin is not my fault, it's part of our inherited sin from original Adam and Eve, is sort of like saying, well, you know, it's not my fault that I was speeding. It's those folks at General Motors that put a 600 horsepower engine in my Corvette. That's the reason that I'm speeding. Well, to blame the designer of the car for the fact that you chose to disobey the speed limit, I think we'd all recognize is incorrect. Same trying to turn the tables on God and say, well, didn't God know? Yes, he did, but that certainly doesn't remove our obligation from it. So why did he do it anyway? Why did he create everything that was originally perfect if he knew that human beings would ultimately separate themselves from him? And that's what sin is. It's human beings willfully, purposefully separating themselves from God. You know what the original sin really was, what Adam and Eve were really doing in the Garden of Eden, is trying to set themselves up as God. They wanted to be their own authority in Eden. And that's what you and I want to do every day. We want to be the boss. We want to set the rules. We don't want other people telling us what to do. Well, back to the question. Why would God do this? The answer is love. God loved us so much. He did know beforehand that we would willingly separate ourselves from him. But still, he created us anyway because he wanted to have fellowship with us, and he wanted us to have fellowship with him. Let's turn the tables. Think about what God knew even before creation. God the Father knew he would have to sacrifice his only Son, his perfect Son, to redeem human beings. Jesus knew that he would be the sacrificial lamb. He was perfect. He was God. He would live that perfect life, suffer that persecution, be crucified, dead and buried. But yet God did it all because he loved us so much. So when you think about the question, why would God do it? Quite frankly, I'm not sure why either. But thank God he did. It absolutely demonstrates his great love for us.